Hello guys, this is Ivan again. Coronavirus edition, sunroof repair 101. Well, I had a problem where my sunroof was trying to open, but one side was getting caught, so it was getting twisted. So this was not an issue of stripped gears or dead motor. It was moving, but it was getting caught and getting twisted to the point where one side was trying to retract, the other one was stuck. So I had to take the panel off, which was easy. 3 screws, Torx T20 on each side, and after you remove the curtains, and the whole panel comes out, and then you start seeing the actual mechanics of the whole sunroof. Now, Webasto and Mercedes didn't exactly make this easy on us. So this is how the piece looks like, and the problem that they have, or actually we have with their work, is that they were molding the plastic profile onto the metal bracket. And I believe that one of the first classes engineers get is the property of materials and the fact that cooling and heating causes the expansion of different materials at a different rate depending on their composition. So molding plastic onto the metal is just about as stupid as you can get. So there's really no other explanation there except 2 different possibilities. One, they were absolutely building the obsolescence into their parts and looking for them, asking from them to fail, or they were stupid. So I don't think they're stupid, so they're definitely building obsolescence. So everything you see here is actually plastic inside, and on the other side it's even more obvious, but I'll show you that on the piece that was taken apart. So once the panel is out, you can only remove it with the sunroof in a tilt up position. So once you get it up, you take the 3 screws and the panel comes out. The problem that I had is the plastic pieces that the sunroof panel slides within the rails are breaking off because they're simply molded onto the metal. And you can see that right here. It's basically plastic over the metal. Here is the one that is broken, and that's when it becomes really obvious. And when that starts getting caught on here, that's where my problem started. But prepare to be disappointed. They didn't just mold the plastic into the metal, they also did something worse. The cable that actually moves the whole mechanism, I bought this whole piece, by the way, for about $100 in my local junkyard, Mercedes junkyard. And the reason I'm doing all this is I'm not looking forward to removing headliner and 8 pillar pieces on a 12-year-old car, because you know that will cause a lot more breakage than anything. So my whole goal here was to do everything I can without having to drop the headliner and the sunroof assembly. So I bought this piece to learn from it and hopefully use parts from it, and it worked out. So back to property of materials. This is a metal bracket that is being molded over with plastic, and as you can see, it's got plenty of cracks and breaks because the heat inside the sunroof, baking in the sun during the summer, can reach 150, maybe even more, 200 degrees probably. And of course, the metals and plastics, they expand and contract at a different rate, causing plastic, of course, to break, not the metal. So what they did to make this piece is they inserted a cable into the molding machine and the bracket, and then they basically poured injected molten plastic around it to attach it. So if your cable breaks, forget it. There's nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing. And when it comes to parts availability, when Mercedes says sliders for the sunroof, they're not sliders for the track for sliding. It is basically a bracket that holds the metal spring that holds the wind deflector down or up. So that's your slider. Those are the only pieces that are available to be purchased separately, beside the trim piece of headliner shade on the inside. Everything else only comes as a one piece And it starts at about $800 if you want to buy it online from a dealer. In person, over $1,000. So what I did is took this whole thing apart in the car by removing the bolt that is sitting here, actually in this position. So you remove this 7mm nut, and then the stud is basically sitting through the sliding portion of the rail on the inside, right here, right inside there, like that. And it's moving up and down as you move to tilt the sunroof up and down, or to push it all the way closed or open it. And once you remove all that, you're left with this slider inside the rail, about like this. And that's where the parts match for the sunroof to tilt up or down. Right here is a tilted up position, and then go slide down, and then it simply moves back and forth. See, this one doesn't even want to move. That's another issue. But it slides back and forth. So once this plastic breaks, you're done. Now to remove it, like I said, take that stud off, and then you can work this from the position on the inside. You have very little room. You can tilt it this way. You can tilt it this way and pull it out like this. The problem that you have at the end is on the other side, where you have this piece. Where is it? I'll take this one. This piece, and that piece basically moves the headliner cover back and forth as you open. This part was not meant to be removed, and that's the kind of a problem. The problem, it's not in a piece, but the way it comes out. And it can only be removed in theory if the whole assembly is out of the car. And the reason being is this piece can only be slid inside in this position, like that. And of course you push the spring all the way in to do that. But in order to do that, the part has to be in a vertical position, which you can never achieve with the car, with the sunroof inside the car. In theory, once you remove the bracket, the big bracket, this one, you can try to move both sides evenly forward over the front of the car and put them down, and then be able to pull the whole assembly out and tilt this thing vertically. I did not want to play with that. I simply took this part and heated it up with a heat gun, and then just pried it with a screwdriver on the back, and it just popped right out. And I would put it back in the same way. I just lined them up, heated it up, and the part literally popped right in. So this whole piece is not really made to be removed, but like I said, I was not looking forward to removing the whole headliner and 8 pillars and break God knows what and get the saggy headliner. So I had to remove those pieces this way. So that's how it is. And it's the same thing on ML, GL, and I'm not sure if the R line uses the same part number. But that's the courtesy of Webasto and Mercedes plastic metal crapshoot. And it's very disappointing that they're doing things like that, because I'm amazed that it even lasted 12 years. But at the same time, the sunroof of my CRX, that is 30 years old, has no problem opening, because they don't play stupid games like that. So there you go, guys. Now you know why it costs $1,000 in parts and probably another $1,500 in labor, because they pulled the headliner and removed the whole thing out of the car in order to replace it. And they're not replacing pieces off of it, they replaced the whole thing. But there you go, it can be done. It can be done. It all depends on what is broken. Like I said, if the cable breaks, you're done. You have to replace the whole thing. But if it's just metal parts that have plastic pieces on them are breaking off, you can replace them. If this doesn't work, because I consider this as temporary fix, I'm actually planning on replacing all the plastic in this piece. By removing the whole thing out, because this is actually a two-piece. It's a sandwich. as you can see, it comes right off like this. It's got two studs that are holding the entire piece in, and this part is metal on one side. This part is the one that they molded with plastic. See, that's the plastic. Anything sticking out from the flat plane of the piece is actually plastic molded area over it. And this stuff on here is the one that pushes the that pushes down on the wind deflector. So see, this whole piece is plastic. And I'm actually planning on removing this. I'm going to experiment with this now spare pieces. I'm going to remove this, and on this metal stud, basically replace this metal stud with another piece that has a brass sleeve over it. So once this plastic is removed, and I'm left with practically this, the brass piece will slide inside here, and brass can be replaced once it wears out. That's the whole point. Brass can be replaced. Plastic is lost cause. And then you can also see here some yellow paint on it, and that's the little trick to line up the sunroof so you don't have to keep adjusting it. Basically, I marked it on sliders for the position of the sunroof, so the attachment points can then be placed without any problems. And you can see it on this side too. See, that's the yellow. So this dot here and this dot here, right there, those are the markings through the profile on that bracket that I showed you. So if you mark those holes, through those holes, before you take everything out, then when you put it back up, you all need to do is just line these markings up, and then you don't have to keep adjusting things with cardboard back and forth, tensioning more onto the plastic and probably breaking something else in a process. But that's it. It's fixed, it's moving, it's working great. I just need to bolt the glass panel back on and put the curtains, rubber curtains on the slides, and that's it. So good luck, guys. If you need any questions answered, let me know. And good luck. I hope your problem is like mine. But then again, if you have seized motor or stripped tooth gear on the motor, that's even easier. All you have to do is literally pull down the assembly that holds the switches for the sunroof and dome lights, and the motor is right there. Remove the motor, remove the gear, replace it, and you're in business. That's it. Have a good one.